Hey, what's going on, everybody? In this video, I'm reviewing Armor of the Sphinx, which is Book 2 in the Books of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. Book 1 being Senlin Ascends, which I gave a 5 out of 5. And I think I mentioned in that video that Josiah Bancroft is quickly becoming one of my favorite new authors. I'm pretty sure that this is his debut series, novel, whatever. And I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5 as well. He delivers again in a second book. You know, it was a great opener with Senlin Ascends. You know, sometimes authors don't quite capture the magic of the first book. Not only does Josiah Bancroft capture the magic of the first book, I think he improves upon it. One of the things that I love about his writing is that that Senlin Ascends started off as Senlin's story. But as he meets these characters in the first book, you don't see them for a minute, and then they get reintroduced later on in book 1. And now they're a very intricate part of this second book. And I'm assuming books 3 and 4, which I purchased and I have not started book 3 yet, but I'm about to. So I think what Bancroft does really well with his writing overall is he gives equal time to not only his main protagonist, but also the side main characters as well. And he gives them equal backstory, equal time to tell their story. Because there's a good chunk of this book, maybe like somewhere in the middle here, maybe something like this, where Senlin is not even in the picture because he went off to do some task that the Sphinx told him about. And it didn't bug me at all. I found a lot of enjoyment reading Iron, Adam, and Edith's and Valletta's storyline. So Senlin is still captain of the Stone Cloud. They've all become pirates because Senlin tried to hang on to his morals as much as he could throughout the first book, but at the beginning of the second book and kind of as the second book takes off, he realizes that the Tower of Babel is such a force and an entity all on its own that he kind of has to play by the tower's rules rather than trying to stay true to his morals. Now, he's still in there. He's still got it, in his mind that he wants to stay pretty pure to who he is, but he really has to develop a different skill set in order to navigate and survive the Tower of Babel. So the main purpose of this second book, Armor of the Sphinx, is that Senlin and his crew want to get into Pelphia, which is where the Pels reside and live and rule, which is another level of the tower. But you need an introduction to get into there. You can't just fly there and say, yeah, I'm just going to walk around. It's very heavily guarded. If you try to get anywhere close to it, then you will most likely get shot down. And the point of this book is that Edith, her arm, after she lost her arm in book 1, she's got an arm that was made by the Sphinx, which was like very powerful, almost machine-like. And the Sphinx is this mythical being that a lot of people don't know whether he exists or not in the Tower of Babel, but Edith knows better because she's been there, she's met him, she got her arm from him, but at a cost. Anytime you want something from the Sphinx, he asks for something in return. So the whole reason why I mentioned earlier Senlin was gone for a while through, missing part of the book is that the Sphinx put him on a task to prove his worthiness, to see that, all right, he's worthy of getting this job done, whatever it was. It's a little fuzzy to me, but, because there's just so much storyline going in here. So Senlin and his crew are meeting up with the Sphinx, getting a lot of history of the tower, what the Sphinx role is. And the Sphinx is basically a figure that is responsible for creating all of the artificial intelligence and the machines that run in the Tower of Babel that are like bodyguards, or if the Sphinx has changed some part of like a human, if they needed an arm like Edith, he's also responsible for creating the Red Hand, which was from book number 1, who was almost this superhuman being with, the red, they called it red lightning going through his veins, which is basically the gas, if you want to call it, or the power source to power all these machines. It just doesn't work all the time, which gives the upper hand to the Sphinx, because if you run out of power, you run out of gas, then you have to go back and visit him again, and he keeps you in this cycle of, all right, if you want to continue living, then you're going to give me something in return. So what I really loved about this book is that it's not as fast-paced as the first one, and I'm okay with that. The first one was Senlin trying to ascend, no pun intended, the tower very quickly to try to see where Maria is. In this book, he believes that she's in Pelphia because that's what rumors have told him from people that he's met. And this one is a lot slower paced, because they're living with the Sphinx for a brief amount of time. Sphinx is trying to interview them and wants a job individually from each of them, but they also know the dangers of accepting a job from the Sphinx. And the entire purpose for Senlin trying to meet the Sphinx is that he knows that the Sphinx is able to give him an introduction to Pelphia so that he can get by all those guards, get into Pelphia, and then search for Maria. I don't know if anyone has read The Starless Sea by Aaron Morgenstern. I gave it a 3 out of 5, and I have a review on this channel of it. I was thinking about reading it again because I don't think I fully appreciated or understood what it was that the book was trying to accomplish. But when I was reading this, I was getting vibes of The Starless Sea, meaning The Starless Sea was this once mythical place, still mythical, but kind of run down and lost a lot of its magic. But there was a sense of sense of grandness, grandiose, bigger than life type of feeling to it. And I really got that feeling from this book, not only from the Sphinx's house where he lives, because it's an intricate web of hallways and libraries and just something new and exciting around every corner. But leading up to when they meet the Sphinx, the Silk Gardens, the Golden Zoo, anyone who's read the book will know what I mean. I don't want to spoil too much, but it was giving me this sense of there's something bigger, grander going on here. Whether it's good or bad, there's a grander purpose for everything that's happening here. And when they were traveling through the Silk Gardens and the Golden Zoo, it wasn't specifically described as a beautiful scene because of all the dangers that they had. But my first instinct was more of think of Pandora when you're watching Avatar for the first time and you see all of the plant life just come to life because of they're lit up and they're electric, and it's built into the biology, and the tower really feels alive and like it's own character. And though I didn't rate the Starless Sea very high, it was kind of average in my opinion, I did get that same feeling when I was reading the Starless Sea. The good parts of it, I got that same kind of nostalgic deja vu feeling when reading Arm of the Sphinx. Now, I don't want to spoil too much, so I think I'll leave it at that. But I think what Josiah Bancroft does really well is he goes full force into the just how disastrous your life can become in the Tower of Babel. I don't want to spoil the ending. All I'll say is that it made my heart sink, but I'm glad that he dared to go there with with a certain character. Let's say when I read the ending, I was not happy, but not happy because the ending sucked, but not happy because if he's implying if I'm interpreting what he's implying at the end of book 2, trouble ahead, iceberg right ahead. There's going to be a lot of issues that come up in book 3 and 4, which book 3 is the Hod King, who we meet briefly in book 2. So he's laying seeds. And that's another great thing that he does, is that he lays seeds throughout each book where you're like, oh, well, that interaction was kind of interesting. Are we ever going to see that character again? Probably. So the Hod King is a character that we meet in book 2. And then book 4, not very subtle, the Fall of Babel. So I'm assuming that based on the title, we can all assume what might be in store for us. But absolutely give Josiah Bancroft and this series a chance, because from my perspective, I don't think it's very popular because I couldn't find it in bookstores. I couldn't find it at the library. They didn't even hold it. It's not that there was missing. They just don't even hold it. And when I ordered it off of Amazon, there's like 4 left in stock. Buy it now. I'm like, okay, I'm convinced. So sold me, buy it. And I wish that we can get this series bigger than what it is, because I remember saying this in the first video. Josiah puts more effort into one book than I think a lot of authors would put into their entire series. Like the amount of content that he puts into book 1, book 2, I think a lot of authors might like try to spread that out into 4 or 5 books, but he's like, no, I'm giving you all that in one novel, and I'm going to make 4 of them. So that's great. And another thing I want to do before I wrap up is that, another thing I want to say is that the type of vocabulary that Bancroft uses, it's making me want to look up words in the dictionary, what they mean, but he doesn't force them in there. Like, you can tell that the way he writes is probably the way that he thinks every single day. It's not like a big word was forced into a paragraph and you're like, oh, that was kind of awkward. I think he genuinely has a huge arsenal of words at his disposal that he knows how to use well, use properly, and not overuse them. So great story overall, great writing, 5 out of 5, and you guys absolutely need to check out this series. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you later.